Imagine this. A peaceful morning, you pour yourself a cup of coffee, open the newspaper as part of your daily routine. Everything seems familiar, yet your body quietly sends an unusual signal. Just a brief dizziness when you stand up, an arm that suddenly feels weaker than usual, or your breath becoming short after just a few steps onto the porch. It all lasts only a moment and then disappears. Like so many others, you tell yourself, it's just age. But that very moment may be the last whisper of the heart or brain before it turns into a devastating roar. The most dangerous thing about a heart attack or stroke is not the moment it strikes, but the fact that the body almost always warns us beforehand. We just fail to recognize it. The heart and brain have faithfully served us for decades without rest, but when they grow weary, they send out small SOS signals. The question is whether we are attentive enough to listen. I still remember a patient named George, 67, from Florida. That morning, he called his daughter and said his right hand had suddenly gone numb and his voice sounded unusual. His daughter quickly reassured him, "Dad, you're just tired. Some rest will help." Indeed, a few hours later, he was back to normal. George thought it was nothing serious, but just 2 days later, he collapsed in his kitchen. This time, it was a real stroke. Fortunately, he received emergency care in time, but the aftermath left him with months of rehabilitation before he could walk again.
George sighed. If only I had called 911 that day, I might not have paid such a heavy price. George's story is not rare. Millions of Americans over 60 experience the same situation. The body sends signals, but we brush them off, thinking it's just fatigue, stress, or part of getting old. In truth, no signal is ever meaningless. Every numbness, every short breath, every fleeting dizziness is a red warning ticket the body is placing right before our eyes. And that is why I urge you to stay until the very end of this video, because in just a few minutes, you will learn how to recognize the silent yet dangerous signs that warn of a heart attack, as well as the fleeting but extremely serious signals of a TIA, a mini-stroke. More importantly, you will know exactly what to do the moment your body sends out the message. Because this is not just medical information. This is the key to adding more healthy years with your family, to keep walking with your grandchildren in the park, to enjoy dinners with your spouse, and to smile at the table with your children and grandchildren. Remember, strokes and heart attacks are like thieves in the night. They come suddenly, ruthlessly, but rarely without a trace. If we learn to listen for their stealthy footsteps, we can lock the door before disaster has the chance to break in. And now, let's begin with the very first warning sign the heart often sends, a symptom that may seem small, but is critically important: unusual shortness of breath.
This is one of the silent yet extremely serious signs of a heart attack, the condition long known as the silent killer. Many older adults ignore this symptom, assuming it's just age, weak lungs, or simply poor fitness from not exercising enough. But in reality, the root cause is often the heart itself. Pay attention to the ordinary moments. You feel breathless after just a few steps inside the house. Your chest tightens when bending down to tie your shoes, or you lie down in bed only to feel suffocated. In some cases, people are jolted awake at night, forced to sit upright and take deep breaths before feeling any relief. These are not normal at all. They are alarm bells from the heart. The heart is the body's central pump, tirelessly sending oxygen-rich blood throughout the body with every beat. But when arteries narrow from plaque buildup, or when the heart muscle weakens after years of strain, its pumping ability drops sharply. Muscles and the brain are starved of oxygen, forcing the body to compensate by breathing faster and harder. That's why, even if your lungs are perfectly healthy, you may still feel breathless, because it's the heart that's exhausted. The most important thing to remember: Unusual shortness of breath is never just part of getting old. It is an urgent message from your body, warning you to pay attention to your heart before it's too late. If shortness of breath is like the first knock on the door, then unexplained fatigue is the loud alarm bell, reminding you that the heart is silently struggling. Fatigue is something we're all familiar with, but there is a different kind of fatigue, a deep exhaustion that appears even when you haven't done anything strenuous. And this may be a dangerous signal from the heart. You may sleep a full 8 hours, avoid overexertion, yet wake up feeling weighed down with no strength left to prepare a simple meal or walk a few steps into the yard. What truly lies behind this exhaustion? When the heart weakens, its pumping ability is no longer efficient, and oxygen and nutrients fail to reach vital organs like the brain and muscles. At that point, the body is forced to switch into power-saving mode just to survive. You feel drained, like a phone stuck at 10% battery even though it was just fully charged. This is not the kind of fatigue that can be solved by a little extra rest. It is depletion from the inside out. Many people blame aging, changes in the weather, or even stress. But the truth is, unexplained fatigue, especially when accompanied by dizziness, nausea, or shortness of breath, may be an early warning sign of a heart attack. The key is to listen closely to your body. If you repeatedly feel an unusual loss of energy, don't assume you just need more rest. That is the heart's urgent whisper, signaling it is working overtime just to keep you alive. The wisest action is to get your heart checked promptly, before a real emergency strikes. Sign number 3, a feeling of heaviness or discomfort in the chest. When people think of a heart attack, most imagine a dramatic scene, someone clutching their chest in severe, stabbing pain. In reality, the heart rarely sends signals that are clear-cut. In the early stages, many cases only involve a sense of heaviness, tightness, burning, or an uncomfortable pressure in the center of the chest. Sometimes it feels like heartburn, bloating after a meal, or just a vague discomfort that's easy to dismiss. Why does this happen? When the coronary arteries narrow, the heart muscle doesn't receive enough oxygen-rich blood and begins to cry for help. The heart sends pain signals, but the brain doesn't always interpret them precisely. So the discomfort may show up in different forms. That's why many people mistake it for indigestion, stress, or anxiety. The danger is that these feelings often don't last long. They may disappear within minutes, but they tend to return when you exert yourself, such as walking briskly, climbing stairs, or even during moments of emotional stress. This is what doctors call angina, a warning that the heart is being starved of blood and that a heart attack may be close. Don't wait until the pain becomes severe to act. If you frequently feel chest heaviness, tightness, or a vague burning sensation, especially when paired with shortness of breath or fatigue, treat it as an alarm bell. Listening to your body at that moment could be the single most important step to prevent a looming cardiac storm. Not limited to chest pain, the heart can also send signals through whole-body symptoms, such as dizziness, nausea, or sudden cold sweats. When people think of a heart attack, most picture a crushing chest pain. But in reality, a heart attack can disguise itself cleverly, extending far beyond the chest. Many patients report a dull ache, heaviness, or burning in the left arm, pain radiating to the shoulder, soreness in the jaw, or even stiffness and discomfort in the neck and upper back. This distraction often makes people assume it's just muscle pain, arthritis, or even sleeping in the wrong position. When the heart muscle is deprived of blood and oxygen, pain signals are transmitted through the nervous system, but the brain doesn't always pinpoint the exact source. As a result, you may feel the pain in other areas, not necessarily the chest.
This phenomenon is called referred pain. Research shows that older women are more likely to experience referred pain rather than the classic chest pain.
The concern is that this type of pain is often not intense. It may be dull, vague, or come and go. But if such unusual pain is accompanied by fatigue, dizziness, nausea, or shortness of breath, it should never be ignored. It could very well be, or unusual jaw soreness. Any of these may be silent warnings. The heart doesn't always sound the alarm in the right spot, but every unfamiliar pain is worth your attention and a timely medical check. Not limited to chest pain, the heart can also send signals through whole body symptoms, such as dizziness, nausea, or sudden cold sweats. Have you ever been sitting still when suddenly the room seemed to spin, your vision blurred, your stomach turned uneasy, or cold sweat poured down your body even though you weren't exerting yourself and the weather wasn't hot? Many people quickly blame low blood sugar, stress, or momentary anxiety, but in reality, these sensations can be urgent warning signals from the heart. When the heart can no longer pump enough blood, the brain, an organ that requires a constant supply of oxygen, is the first to feel the impact. Even a slight reduction can make you feel lightheaded, off balance, or as if you might faint. At the same time, the digestive system is starved of blood, leading to nausea and stomach discomfort.
And cold sweats are the body's autonomic nervous system sounding the alarm, signaling that it is in crisis and needs help immediately. What makes this even more dangerous is that these symptoms often pass quickly, disappearing after just a few minutes. Because of this, many people dismiss them, thinking a bit of rest will solve the problem. In truth, these may be the final warning bells before a full-blown heart attack strikes. Never take unexplained dizziness, unusual nausea, or sudden cold sweats lightly. They're not simply signs of fatigue or stress. They may be your body's way of whispering that your heart is in danger. And when that signal appears, the wisest choice is not to wait, but to act immediately by seeking medical attention in time to protect yourself. But the story doesn't end with the heart. The brain, the body's supreme command center, has its own way of crying out for help, often whispering through brief mini-strokes. If a heart attack is the storm that robs the heart of its strength, then a stroke is the lightning strike that strikes directly at the brain. And the frightening part is, it rarely comes without warning. Before a major stroke occurs, the body often sends out a signal called TIA, Transient Ischemic Attack, or what many call a mini-stroke.
Don't let the name mini mislead you. Even though its symptoms may last only minutes or a few hours before disappearing completely, a TIA is a red alert warning. Studies show that many people who experience a TIA will suffer a major stroke within just days or weeks afterward. So, what is a TIA? Simply put, it happens when the brain temporarily doesn't get enough blood and oxygen, causing certain neurological functions to falter. The result may be slurred speech, facial drooping, numbness or weakness on one side of the body, loss of balance, or sudden blurred vision. These symptoms may vanish quickly, leading many to dismiss them as harmless, thinking, "I'll be fine after a little rest." But in truth, that's the brain knocking at the door, begging for help. A TIA is like a trial fire inside a house. Ignore it, and the real flames will soon erupt, burning everything down. And to understand why TIAs happen, we need to look deeper into the mechanisms behind them. Mechanism 1. Embolus, when debris in the bloodstream becomes a blocker. Imagine your blood vessels as a winding river, carrying fresh water to nourish the fields. But along its banks, plaques begin to form, made of cholesterol, calcium, and fibrous tissue built up over time. One day, a small piece breaks off, carried downstream by the current. When that fragment reaches a narrower branch of the river, It gets stuck and blocks the flow.
That's what an embolus is, a blood clot or piece of plaque that breaks free, travels, and then lodges in a brain artery. When this happens, the part of the brain beyond the blockage no longer receives oxygen. Neurons immediately begin to gasp for air, showing outward signs such as facial drooping, slurred speech, or weakness on one side of the body. The most dangerous part is that these symptoms may disappear quickly once the clot dissolves or blood temporarily flows again. This makes many people believe it's nothing serious. But in reality, each episode is a warning bell. If today is only a mini stroke, tomorrow could be a full-blown stroke, leaving lasting disability or ending a life. An embolus is a reminder that your blood vessels are no longer smooth and healthy, and that it's time to take action before disaster strikes. Mechanism 2. Thrombus, when the knot forms right on the spot. If an embolus is like a fragment drifting down the river until it gets stuck elsewhere, then a thrombus is a blood clot that forms and locks in exactly where it is. Imagine the water pipes in your home. At a rusty spot, water begins swirling and debris settles, slowly building up until a solid blockage forms that eventually stops the flow entirely. Blood vessels can work the same way. One of the most common places for a thrombus to develop is inside the atrium of the heart.
When the heart doesn't beat evenly, especially in people with atrial fibrillation, the atrium doesn't contract in a steady rhythm. Instead, it quivers like a broken pump. As a result, blood pools and swirls inside, creating the perfect condition for a clot to form. Once large enough, the clot can block blood flow right at the source, or it can break free and travel, turning into an embolus that reaches the brain. The danger is that a thrombus doesn't need to travel far to cause harm. It's like a key jammed in the lock of a door, preventing blood and oxygen from passing through. When the brain is suddenly locked out from its supply, neurological functions stall, leading to a TIA or even a full-blown stroke. This reminds us of a crucial truth. Keeping the heartbeat steady and blood vessels flowing smoothly is not just about feeling healthy. It is also about preventing the formation of these deadly knots inside your own body. Mechanism 3. Aneurysm. When the wall of a blood vessel bulges and bursts, picture the blood vessels in your brain like sturdy water pipes designed to withstand pressure for many years. But over time, constant pressure, along with tiny injuries, can weaken a spot on the vessel wall. Day by day, that weak point starts to bulge outward like a small balloon. And with just one strong trigger, such as a sudden spike in blood pressure, emotional stress, or physical strain, that balloon can burst.
This is an aneurysm, a bulging of an artery. When a blood vessel in the brain stretches and weakens, the risk of rupture becomes dangerously high. If it bursts, blood floods into brain tissue, causing a hemorrhagic stroke, one of the deadliest and most disabling forms of stroke. What makes an aneurysm so frightening is that it often causes no clear symptoms before it ruptures. Many people live their daily lives unaware that such a ticking time bomb exists in their brain. And when it explodes, the consequences often come too quickly and too severely for any intervention to reverse. The image of an aneurysm reminds us that keeping blood vessel walls strong and flexible is absolutely vital, because just one weak link in the circulatory system can bring the whole network crashing down. And the price then is not just a fleeting dizzy spell, but potentially the rest of your life. The three mechanisms above are just the surface. To truly prevent them, we need to look deeper. What actually causes blood vessels to be damaged in the first place? First, the silent culprit is insulin resistance. When we consume too much sugar and refined carbohydrates, the body constantly releases insulin to process them.
Over time, the cells become numb and stop responding well. The result is persistently high insulin and blood sugar, fueling chronic inflammation throughout the body.
The delicate lining inside blood vessels, like a thin coat of paint protecting a pipe, gets scratched and weakened, creating the perfect condition for plaque buildup. Next is vitamin C deficiency. If you think of the blood vessel wall as a brick wall, collagen is the cement holding the bricks together. Vitamin C is the raw material for collagen production. Without enough of it, the cement weakens. The wall becomes fragile, prone to bulging and rupturing. In addition, lack of minerals like potassium and magnesium leads to heart rhythm disturbances and makes blood more likely to clot. Add smoking, which lowers oxygen in the blood and damages vessel linings, and high blood pressure, which acts like water pressure pounding against an old pipe. All of these factors together turn blood vessels into a fragile system full of weak spots, waiting to collapse. Understanding the root causes shows us that strokes and heart attacks don't come out of nowhere. They're the result of years of buildup. And that means we can absolutely prevent them if we start taking care of the body today. And the good news is, once we know the causes, we can act. With lifestyle, nutrition, and daily habit changes, you can actively build a shield around your heart and brain.
1. Reduce insulin resistance. Restore the body's sensitivity. Cut down on sugar, sweets, soda, and refined carbs. Instead, focus on fresh vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats. Some people find intermittent fasting helps lower insulin, giving the body a break and protecting blood vessels. 2. Replenish essential minerals. Potassium and magnesium are the body's electric engineers, keeping the heartbeat steady and helping blood vessels relax. You'll find them in leafy greens, avocados, nuts, and beans. Getting enough means lowering the risk of arrhythmia and clot formation. 3. Boost vitamin C. Think of it as the cement rebuilding stronger vessel walls. Bell peppers, broccoli, strawberries, oranges, and lemons are excellent sources. With sufficient collagen, vessel walls stay flexible and less prone to rupture. 4. Quit smoking. No step is more important. Stopping immediately restores oxygen to every cell, easing the burden on both the heart and brain. 5. Support recovery after TIA or stroke. The brain needs high-quality fuel to rebuild. Omega-3 DHA helps reduce inflammation and nourish neurons. Niacinamide, vitamin B3, fuels cellular energy. A diet rich in vegetables and low in sugar, combined with smart fasting, can activate autophagy, the body's natural self-cleaning process that helps repair brain damage.
The key message is this: every small change you make today adds up to a powerful shield for tomorrow. You don't need to change everything overnight. Just start with one better choice, one meal, one habit, and you've already taken a big step ahead of stroke. In the end, what matters most is not knowledge, but action, because understanding without doing turns every warning into nothing more than a whisper ignored. Your heart and brain have served you faithfully for more than 60 years, beating over 2 billion times to keep you alive, alert, and connected to your family. But as they begin to weaken, they cannot speak in words. They can only send small signals: shortness of breath, unexplained fatigue, heaviness in the chest, dull pain spreading to the shoulder, back, jaw, or neck. And sometimes the brain warns with a brief TIA that seems mild, but is in fact an urgent alarm.
The frightening truth is that most of us dismiss these signs, blaming age, stress, or thinking a little rest will make it better. But in reality, every minute of hesitation could be your last. Research shows that calling emergency services immediately at the first sign of trouble is the deciding factor between full recovery and a lifetime of disability.
That is why, if you or a loved one experience any of these symptoms, even if they vanish quickly, call 911 right away. Don't drive yourself. Don't try to tough it out. Act fast, because in these moments, every second truly counts. If you found this information helpful, please share this video with friends, neighbors, or loved ones, especially those at risk of stroke or heart attack. One simple click could save a life. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so each week we can bring you practical, easy-to-apply knowledge to help you live healthier, happier, and more fully.